Hey, this is Mille from Creator and you're watching Rock and Metal News.
Hey guys, this is Ron from YouTube's Rock Metal News, and we're in Vancouver at the Rickshaw with Mille from Creator. They're playing tonight with Overkill and Warbringer. So Mille, I've seen you back in 1989 with the Extreme Aggression Tour and that, and you've been, thank you for coming back to Canada. We really appreciate it. You've got lots of fans here. And from the metal scene from 1989 till now, do you still see a large sort of metal following within Canada? And what's the metal scene like when you maybe go to Montreal or Toronto and Vancouver? What's that like?
Everywhere in Canada, all over Canada, there's a lot of metal. It's very much like the scene is more comparable to Europe than the American scene is. American scene is also strong, but it's so, the country's way, there's, you see the hit or miss, you know. You play some places and there's tons of people, and then another day you play a place and there's not so many people. In Canada, it's always very solid.
That's great. Now, you know, Phantom Antichrist, it was actually rated #1 on Rock and Metal News Album of the Year in 2012.
All right.
And the reason being is that every time Creator puts out a new album, and I really listen to the lyrics and in the music and that, is you always seem to have something fresh, and you always, you know, just bump it up from the next album lyrically, and musically. You add, you know, the tempo changes and things are always interesting. And now, how do you keep your music fresh for yourself? Do you take some time off before doing a new album? Do you plan it out within months, you know, prior to maybe collecting some information that's happening around the world and things? How do you plan for the new albums and make it fresh like that?
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I do it. I take time off. Not really off, you know. I always have to. Once I start working on some new music, I immediately start to do research on current events that happen during the time that I start writing the lyrics, and it's always like, you know, it's a lot of like. Sometimes I hear something, I talk into my iPhone, you know, and it's just to keep it, not to forget it, or I have a little notebook, or I, you know, watch a couple of documentaries, and if there's a nice sentence that I can use, I sometimes quote or just take the thought and write something around it. It's really different from song to song, really, though. I mean, unfortunately there's no formula, you know.
Yeah.
You cannot, it's never the same. It's always hard work, and it's always, you always have to keep your eyes and ears open, and be open-minded to everything that surrounds you. And that's something that I would do anyway, but during the time of songwriting, it's more intense, you know. I'm absorbing things a lot more consciously than I do when I'm not writing.
Great, thanks. Now, I noticed in Phantom Antichrist, it was such an interesting album to me because it was dark and heavy lyrics, but also it had an underlying message to me of positivity, about uprising, about overcoming adversity, getting people to open up their minds, and had such like subtle messages underneath this heavy music and everything. And that's why I really enjoyed this album. I felt that it had really, especially with current events that are happening in the world in different countries right now, and people uniting together in hate, but in uniting together to overthrow maybe a darker evil, or to unite together to maybe save the planet and things like that. Is that sort of the underlying message of the album at all? Because I really seen that with many of the songs on the album.
Yeah, you can sum it up like that, definitely. I think this album is more in the spirit, like, lyrically the album is more in the spirit of, you know, I'm a big fan of the Metallica Justice for Our album, because that's a very political album for that time. And Nuclear Assault, they would write great lyrics back in the day. Bands like Dead Kennedys, Napalm, that, you know, they always aware of what was going on. So that a lot of the bands don't do that anymore. You know, a lot of the bands moved away from. Like I said, I would never say that Creator is a political band. we just take the essence of politics and the evil side of politics, put them into our lyrics, in order to yeah, like you said, maybe without preaching. I hate if people tell me what to think, but maybe getting some message across for the ones that want to listen. And if you don't want to listen, then fine, just enjoy the music, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of like in the same mindset. I never moved away from that, you know. A lot of the bands that wrote very good lyrics back in the day, or were writing lyrics that had to do with politics, moved away, and we didn't, you know.
Mm-hmm. And that's really, that's why I just continue to enjoy your music and your albums. Now, when I first listened to this album, it almost reminded me of a quote concept album, just because things were intertwining, and there was songs at the beginning and then songs at the end. Like the placement of the songs to me were very great, and it almost it seemed to me to be a concept album, but I know it wasn't. You touched a bunch of different subjects. Mm-hmm. However, have you ever thought, because your writing is so good and you can write in that style, have you ever thought about maybe making an album like a concept album?
Yeah, I thought about it, but I don't know about what. I mean, I maybe thought about like doing an album, a concept album about a certain world war or something, or maybe, but that would be a history lesson almost, you know. And I think a lot of bands have done that before, so I couldn't think of one particular theme that could where concept album would really make sense. I think if I would do it, I'd have to I've come up with a story or something, you know, something fictional. But I don't know. I mean, there's this great album that has never been, like, concept album wise. In rock, there's The Wall by Pink Floyd, and in metal, it's Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime. And I don't think that ever anything after that, concept album wise, was ever better than that. You know?
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Okay, no, that's good. Just the track "Death to the World." I mean, there's a line in there that says, "Out of atoms and emptiness," almost like a physics or quantum physics thing you refer to, where to me it has to be like, you know, as things are arising out of nothingness and atoms, and this beautiful place is being built, and we are not understanding how beautiful this place is, and destroying it. First of all, when it's out of atoms and emptiness, is this sort of the creation of the world just from nothing and how beautiful it is, and watching the people in their ignorance destroy it? Do you think that we're stepping forward in a way that we are going to be taking better care of the world than we were, or?
That's a tough one, because I think in certain places of the world there's definitely some different view on things nowadays with in the Western civilization. I think there's a lot of people that are more conscious about the environment and what we actually do to what we're doing to the environment at the moment. Some people just don't care, and they never will, and it's still the majority of the people, in my opinion, doesn't really care. And but it's that whole. But that you cannot blame people for that, because it comes with capitalism. You know, it's part of it. It's part of our wealth and the way we live. It's part of our decadence. And it's something that people don't want to think about, and people think as soon as you talk about the environment, some people think you want to take something away from them. Want to take away their, you know, their, drag them out of the comfort zone or something, you know, just get them like lower their life quality or whatever, you know. But that's not the truth. If you really think about it, if people would really think about it, they'd know that once you really get into, you know, once you start thinking about organic food, just for one example, you treat your body better, and in order, I mean, you be more productive, you have more power, and it's what you put in your body. It's like the energy. if you put organic food in your body, you will have more energy. And so that's a positive thing. A lot of people don't connect to this, you know. So, and a lot of people also say that it's too expensive, but it's really not, you know, because you don't need as much food if you eat organic food, you know.
Do you eat organic yourself?
Yeah, as much as I can.
Excellent.
On tour it's hard. It's hard though. On tour it's hard, but I bought a blender, just to put some, you know, I put everything in there, like all kinds of. I make smoothies every day, so I try to stay healthy, because especially on the tour when there's a flu going around, you know, I can't afford to get sick.
Well, I'll tell you, you're in great shape. I'll tell you, for been doing this for almost 20 years, man, or more. But okay, that's great. Now, I just want to mention that you have the new DVD out called Dying Alive. I picked that up. I loved it. I loved the song choices. Did that pull you away from your time? Were you involved a lot in any of that mixing? I know you have to get a live feed and kind of things like that for the mixing wise. Did that pull a lot of your time away at all, or were you involved a lot of that?
I was. It was over a period of a half year where I was on and off working on that. Most of the work was done by our director, Matthias Kolek, who was in Essen. So as soon as he had something done, he'd call me and I would go over to his house, and we sit, you know, make little minor corrections. And all in all, the majority of the work was done by him. The mix was done by Jens Bocken, and I trust the guy, man. The same with Matthias Kolek. Those are people that I trust 100%. They don't come up with stuff that I wouldn't be happy about, and they would have me double check everything anyway. But yeah, I'm happy with the way it came out. It's very powerful. It's definitely and it's hard. You know, it's hard to capture the live energy and put it on a disc so you can recreate the atmosphere in your living room. It's almost impossible, but in order to do that, we put a lot of cameras in the hall, so make it really, really hectic and chaotic, like a concert, like a real creator concert.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. So we just had a couple of listeners to our channel that had a question for you. One was, do you have any festivals lined up for 2014? That was from Az Ray. They just wondered if you are sort of looking for next year's festivals at the moment.
Yeah, I think we're playing one in Norway called Kamageddon. Then we do the Wacken open air. And one in Sweden, in the city of Overkill, where we recorded the album. I forgot the name of that one. There's a couple of festivals in the making that are not 100% confirmed yet, but you'll hear about it.
Excellent, yeah, because that's great, because we have listeners all over all over the world with YouTube, the YouTube reach now. And one was actually, my question was, with the new social media out there, with Facebook, with Twitter, with all the internet, has this helped create or reach bigger audiences? Do you have specific people that handle your own social media, or do you kind of handle it within yourselves in the band and things like that?
I'd say that the social media networks is the best thing that ever happened to metal, because I remember a time when we sometimes had to, you know, we didn't, but our record companies had to beg the music television stations to play their stuff, you know, our stuff. And nowadays, we can all fuck off. You know, we just have our own media. We have YouTube, we have our Facebook, we have our homepage, and the fans that want to see Creator in their living room, they can just go on YouTube and watch, check this shit out for free, you know. So we don't have to, like, there's no way, this whole era is over, and I'm so happy about that. You know, this was a cultural dictatorship for a while. It's like, if they like you, then they play you all over, you know, you were all over the place. But if you're metal, you had a hard time to begin with, And then, you know, it was all about business, it's always schmoozing, it's always about like money and stuff like that. And nowadays we have direct access to our fans' living rooms, and we can, you know, if they want information about Creator, they can come on our Facebook and they get them right away. I do it. I host some of it, and I have a webmaster, and it's always like, if you read it there, it's the truth. We don't need anything else. We have many followers on Facebook, on our internet. So, like I said, I think that's the best thing that ever happened.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, and we can see it through our fans how we correspond and introduce new bands and you know, shows and post shows that
It's
are
real.
coming. It's real. And on that note, that's a great note to finish on. You know, we're in Vancouver at the Rickshaw. Creator is in town. It's always a great day when Creator's in town. Pick up Phantom, Antichrist, and Dying Alive, their new DVD, because they're just amazing, and definitely Rock and Metal News will give those the top ratings. This is Mille and Ron from YouTube's Rock and Metal News. Thanks for tuning in.